Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene. Another episode sponsored by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative and many of our fine sponsors here, as we're going to, of course, discuss the sports scene. First, happy Thanksgiving to those who are going to celebrate it tomorrow. And, of course, the Thanksgiving weekend, of course, a lot of businesses and offices will be closed throughout the weekend. And then, of course, for all of you, we hope that you will make it safe to whatever destination you are going to, and be thankful that you are there for that. Of course, the first thing we're going to discuss is the high school scene. Not only football but basketball and various other things. First off, we do have some sad news to report that the football team unfortunately lost to Hampton on the road 2 weeks ago at Hampton, 36-31, as Hampton scored the touchdown with 25 seconds to go to take the win and intercepted a Thomas pass to seal the victory. But the good news is that Hampton had to face off against York at home, and York just basically clobbered them 56-13, and York right now is one win away from a state championship appearance in Chattanooga. We also want to mention Alcoa. Now, the reason is because Hubert Robertson, a former player and coach for Bledsoe County, is an assistant coach at Alcoa, and they are just one win away from a 9th straight state championship tournament appearance and championship. So congratulations to Alcoa.
I believe they play Giles County.
I believe that's what they do. They play Giles County, I believe, at home, and then of course if they win, they go to Chattanooga on the 2nd and 3rd, which is York and Alcoa, as all the other teams. The only other Valley team right now still alive is South Pittsburgh. They beat Gordonsville pretty much like a rug. I think it was 38-0.
Yeah.
But anyway, before we begin, we want to read a statement from Coach Tabor. And this is from Bledsoe Banner, so if I misquote him, well, blame the newspaper, so to speak. On behalf of Bledsoe County High School football, I would like to say thank you for your support of our team this past season. We had an amazing following on the long trip to Hampton this past Friday. We were both humbled and appreciated the very vocal, loud, and enthusiastic crowd support. Thank you. Football is a game that evokes many emotions and passion with many highs and lows, including sometimes heartbreak. The outcome was not what we wanted, but it was a very hard-fought game, and our players and community represented it well. There's something great about the Bledsoe County blue and gold. The season ended with 9 wins and 3 losses. We will continue to work and strive to put a competitive team on the field. We will continue to keep our standards high both on and off the field. To our seniors, thank you for all your work and dedication to our program. Thank you for an exciting season and career. To our returning and incoming players, get ready to work, sacrifice, and be good teammates to one another. Time to prepare is now. To our community, we understand the importance of the football program to so many. The Friday night lights, the gathering of fans and alumni, the memories had and the memories to be made. The importance of what we will do will not be taken lightly. Again, thank you for making our home games one of the best atmospheres around, and we can always count on a great following on the road. A special thank you to our parents, quarterback club, cheer, and football support staff. It is an honor to be part of this community and football program. Go Blue. That's Coach Dwayne Tabor. And I can agree 1,000% with that statement.
Absolutely.
I mean, that's the first time we've had a coach that actually had put out something like this to thank youth, which indicates how valuable, how much he values the support for Bledsoe County. Bradley, let's go over the season. 9 wins, 3 losses. 5th straight winning season. Hasn't happened in Bledsoe County football season. What is the good in that? What do you find out the good? What do you find that
the good is you see some consistency as far as the success. I mean, you don't. Yes, we still can't get over that second round hiccup, but you see consistency in the team. The fact that we go in not only to every season expecting a winning season, but we go into every game expecting to win, and that's where it starts. It starts with the mindset, the belief that you can, and once you believe you can, then you start to do, and that's what Coach Tabor and his staff and the community and the players have all bought into, and it's really showing out there on the football field. Success speaks for itself. The good part of this season is we have a lot of young underclassmen that played a lot this season. It's freshmen and sophomores that were really key elements to our offense. Those seniors that we had this year were great leaders. You know, they leave behind, the legacy that they led with, and you've got a bunch of juniors going to be stepping up next season, and a lot of skill players will be back. Almost our entire line's going to be back, so it's going to be a really good thing for Bledsoe County, because I mean he's playing a lot of young guys, getting them some experience. He's not just playing juniors and seniors like you normally see.
Yeah.
Most of the time, you have your freshmen and sophomores that sit out. We've got athletes that they're working with that are playing starting freshmen. You know, that's huge for a program.
Absolutely.
Because you keep that consistency going, you keep that leadership building, and that's the good of Bledsoe County football right now.
That's I certainly agree with that statement. Now, the bad part was the early part of the season. You know, you start stumble a bit out the gate, but they came together at the right time. Would you agree against Wartburg? They came together at the right time.
Well, I think so. We had those 2 losses earlier in the season, Sequatchie County and York, and I do believe that York is a powerful team. I'll take nothing away from them, but I would love to have had another shot at York.
I would have loved to. Had we beaten Hampton, we would have had that shot.
We had to beat Hampton to get there, but I would love to have had one more shot at York. And honestly, if we played Sequatchie County later in the season, in the groove that we were in since that loss to York, I mean, it would have been a completely different ball game. And I'm not just saying it because I'm a Bledsoe County fan.
Right.
Unlike most Bledsoe County fans, if Sequatchie's playing anybody but us, I want them to win. Because some of my family's from down there, and my good friends are down there too. So, so I want them to succeed. But when they play us, I want us to beat them, obviously, and I think that's mutual between many of the Sequatchie County fans and as well. But if it had been a lot different, if those games were played later, I believe the outcome would have been a little different on both of them, really. So that's the bad is, yes, you had 2 losses out of the first 4 games, but you just with any team you have to lick your wounds and get right back in there, and that's what Bledsoe County did, and kind of used Wartburg as a leapfrog to just start blasting everybody.
Absolutely. Before we go on, we want to congratulate the WEP football program for the Harvest Bowl runner-up. They scored 12 points, but unfortunately lost when the other team scored 18. So congratulations to them. They'll be the nucleus of a Bledsoe County High School football team in about 10 or maybe less than that. And then the Little Blue cheer team finished runner-up in the Harvest Bowl. So congratulations to them. Congratulations to the Bledsoe County Middle School team for basketball team. They're perfect, the boys team, and hopefully they will translate to success for the high school basketball team later down the line.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that's not in the paper, but the Pee-wees were Harvest Bowl champions.
Okay,
scored on the last play, no time on the clock, and scored run the touchdown for about 15 yards, and won the championship. Beat Sequatchie in the Harvest Bowl.
Well, sometimes that's overlooked, and again, congratulations to them as well. Of course, to all the Little Blue players, everybody on down the line for the effort they put out, and to their parents for taking the trouble to make sure that their kids get there to the games and that sort of thing. And I mean, that's very, very, very important as well. Of course, the basketball. That's what we're going to have up next. Of course, basketball. We're going to have the high school basketball team. Of course, the schedule I got in front of me. And they've already played the game, the Hall of Fame. The boys won and the girls lost, so it's a split. They played it against Monterey, and I think it was another team the girls played. And then, of course, on the 30th, there will be at Whitwell. On the 1st, they'll be home against Meigs County. Then Grundy County on the 6th, 5th. Marion County on the 8th. Tyner on the 12th. Those are home games. Now we're in a different district. We're no longer play York or Monterey. We're in the Chattanooga area district, which probably makes more sense. Then on the 16th we'll be at Grundy County. Then on the 19th we will host Whitwell. Then actually stops till the 4th unless they have a holiday tournament going on. And then we'll be at Van Buren County, your wife's alma mater.
That'd be a bad week.
You're gonna be sleeping on the couch a lot that week. But anyway, and then on the 8th at South Pittsburgh, then we'll host CSAS, or Chattanooga School for the Performing Arts. And then at Sequatchie County on the 12th, that's the big one. That'll be the 16th at Marion County. Then we'll host Brainerd. There'll be a Tyner on the 23rd. South Pittsburgh will be home on the 25th. Sequatchie County 26th at home of January. Then on the 30th at CSAS. And then on the 2nd, we'll be hosting Van Buren County. And then at Brainerd. And then at Meigs County on the 8th. And then the district tournament time and place to be determined and that sort of thing. And hopefully the weather will not cause too much of a problem with that. You can never tell in the winter, but they'll try. Hopefully, they'll try to improve upon the record they had last year. Well, both boys and girls.
It's a tough road to hoe, Mike, because you got CSAS, the Arts and Sciences, and you have the Brainerd teams are pretty good, and Tyner teams are pretty good. It's going to be hard for them, but I mean, Bledsoe County can compete. I really do believe they can. I think the boys' team is going to be, pretty solid, and I think the girls' team is up and coming. They're better than they were last year. They're playing together, practicing good so far, and I think it's going to be a pretty successful season.
They only lost by 10 points to their opening opponent. It was Rockwood, by the way. It was Rockwood who they played against in the Hall of Fame tournament. So they only lost by 10 points. So it was a very low-scoring game in that as well. And of course, the basketball team, of course, will have the broadcast for you for those games upcoming this season on WAT. And of course, again, the boys, congratulations on the 9-3 football season. Could have been better. Would have loved to have them been better, but those things, unfortunately, those things do happen. And you can never tell what football taking a funny about you. 9 seconds away. If they hadn't had that interception, probably could have pulled it out, because that was a really tough game.
Oh, yeah.
We have to have, because the drive up there. I mean, I want to thank Bledsoe County for allowing me.
You didn't drive, you rode. I drove.
Well, you drove, but your literature right now is that it's kind of hard to get on that charter bus when you have those, when you have Wi-Fi and you have, you watching the Trolls and the Trolls. And,
what was that, a movie?
Manoa, whatever her name was.
Moana.
Okay, I'm not Hawaiian. How do I know?
I didn't know what you were talking about when we got to the game. Yeah, we watched Trolls and Moana, and I was like, what?
And Despicable Me.
Well, that's fitting.
That's fitting. After a game like that, and of course, I've learned that don't ever buy a barbecue turkey sandwich at Buc-ee's. Don't ever buy. That's a little too spicy for my taste. Like that. I thought, what's a turkey sandwich? What's wrong with it? And I forgot for his barbecue.
Should have went with a chopped brisket.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd never been in one in Sevierville. I went in Crossville. That's sort of like a little, more crowded. Like Sevierville goes there, it's like you need a map to find out where you're going to. That's about how it is. But anyway, yeah, Hampton was a very interesting. That was up near the Virginia border. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's about 4.5 hours. I think we left about 9 o'clock Friday night after the game, and didn't get back till about 2 in the morning. Got back to Pikeville till 2 in the morning. But again, I want to thank the team to allow me to ride one of the charter buses. And by the way, the community paid for that buses. The high school did not pay for that. The quarterback club, and that is very important. That's what the community will do for you. If they are behind you, they're gonna make sure it is, because no one wants to ride a school bus for 4 or 5 hours up that thing. School buses aren't built for adults. Trust me, they ain't built for adults. I've ridden them, and it's I mean, it's all right when you're a kid, but when you're a full-grown adult, you kind of like to have something that doesn't,
right.
It doesn't exactly, that a little more comfortable. Of course, those nice buses. I mean, the lady was a very nice lady driving the bus, and that sort of thing. And the kids, everybody on that bus behaved themselves pretty much. It was not didn't have a lot of trouble.
Yeah, a friend of mine was riding beside you, I believe. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure Ethan knows him very well. He showed me a picture. He said, "This is who I was riding with on the way up there." And I just shook my head. I seen you in the background, and I just put my hand on your shoulder, and I said, I don't know how you made it. Ben, I
didn't say all that. I'm a man of few words.
Yeah, a few 100,000
words.
Whew, mercy.
I didn't say much because really, to be honest, on that bus is like, I'm trying to, I'm looking at the cell phone, I'm looking at the, looking at the, the videos or whatever, and or reading the news articles, which really are interesting in themselves. But to be honest with you right now, it wasn't a bad trip really. Otherwise, too bad it didn't come out the way we wanted, but that's the way it is. Anyway, when we come back, we will discuss college football and a little bit of the college basketball season, which just started, by the way, and then we'll of course just basically talk about where the SEC teams are going to go to bowl games and what's their chances of winning their finales here on the Mike and Bradley Sports Scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18.
You need a bank that you can depend on. Here at Citizens Tri-County Bank, we have the most dependable staff that you will ever meet. Call in, you will not get an automated attendant, you'll get a person. But on the other side, we have all the technology that anyone would need, from apps to online banking to bill pay. So please come and grow with us as we're about to celebrate our 50th year. We are the only community bank you will ever need.
Come and see the beautiful Sequatchie Valley. And while you're here, visit the Dunlap Mercantile. We have a full line of hats from Resistol, Stetson, Charlie One Horse, American Hat Makers, GG Pip, Greeley hats from the TV show Yellowstone, and a full line of vintage hats. Make sure to check out our hat bar where we can clean, shape, and customize a hat just for you, right here at the Dunlap Mercantile.
At Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter, we're committed to be better. Better prices, better vehicles, a better experience. Your Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter understands that you rely on us to provide you with the highest quality of used vehicles. With over 350 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. So what are you waiting for? Let us show you a better experience with the Jason Lewis Automotive family. Come visit us at Rankin Avenue here in Dunlap or on the web at dunlapsupercenter.com.
Okay, everybody, we are back, and our next segment is the college football and basketball season, which is, by the way, sort of colliding with each other in a little bit in the way. For college football, of course, some teams in the SEC know they're going to go to bowl games. They had the minimum of 6 wins to get to a bowl. Some have to win their finale to get into a bowl, while some will not be going to a bowl. They already know that. For example, let's look at Florida. Florida, well, they're not having a great season, and there's rumors that they'll be looking for a new coach at the end of the season. They're 5-6. They have to beat Florida State. Now, Florida State is undefeated at 10-0, and they are number 5 in the country right now. And let's just say it's sort of like Daniel being thrown into the den of lions, so to speak. And there's one person once said about when they had to face off against an SEC teams. I know how to feel what the Christians felt when they were fed to the lions in the Coliseum. For Florida, they not only had lost to Missouri on the last second field goal, they lost one of their prime key players due to a broken collarbone. So he's out for that game and for the rest of the season.
Well, that'll be an interesting game, Mike, because Florida State lost their starting quarterback as well to broken ankle.
Yeah.
So you've got your two starting quarterbacks for both teams are gone. Unfortunate for Florida is this backup quarterback for Florida State apparently is just as good as the starter.
Yeah.
So it could be very interesting to see that game play out.
Yeah, I remember that Chris Winkie, who was the starting quarterback for Florida State before he got hurt in 1998, injury, was replaced by Marcus Outson. and they speculated that Marcus Allen would he be a third-string quarterback who win the national championship, be the first quarterback to do that. Didn't happen. Tennessee won that game, won the national title. But, really look at this. Florida State's probably got more talent-wise than Florida has. And they're deep, especially. So, really, Florida's probably not going to go bold. Now, I would be surprised if they do pull off an upset. They may make it close, but it may still be. I believe they're playing that game at Gainesville.
I believe they are.
So, I think that's the only advantage they have. Well, Clemson is at South Carolina. Well, Clemson is, they're basically 7-4. They're a little down from their national championship years and that sort of thing. They're going to face off against a South Carolina team which won over Kentucky 17-14. They're 5-6. They got to beat Clemson to get to a bowl. And there's a rumor that that the South Carolina head coach Beamer may be going somewhere else after this season. He may be taking a job elsewhere. We don't know that yet. So, but Shane Beamer. He's got a tough task, but Clemson is a little less powerful than Florida State.
Yeah, Clemson's down quite a bit. I mean, the Clemson faithful at one time this season was even calling for Dabo Swinney's head, and that's odd. I mean, even Dabo went in an interview and said that if they don't want him there, he'll go somewhere else. I mean, you very rarely ever hear a coach say that, especially when you're just a few years out of winning the national championship. So I mean, it's crazy.
It's sort of a put up or shut up deal.
Yeah, it really is.
Like Johnny Montrose once said, he said just because you have fans who buy tickets think they own the team, which probably was unfortunate for Majors, because Majors really was the person who called it like I saw it, and he admitted, look, it probably hurt me in some way. Okay, everybody, we are back, and our next segment is the college football and basketball season, which is, by the way, sort of colliding with each other in a little bit in the way. For college football, of course, some teams in the SEC know they're going to go to bowl games. They had the minimum of 6 wins to get to a bowl. Some have to win their finale to get into a bowl, while some will not be going to a bowl. They already know that. For example, let's look at Florida. Florida, well, they're not having a great season, and there's rumors that they'll be looking for a new coach at the end of the season. They're 5-6. They have to beat Florida State. Now, Florida State is undefeated at 10-0, and they are number 5 in the country right now. And let's just say it's sort of like Daniel being thrown into the den of lions, so to speak. And there's one person once said about when they had to face off against an SEC teams. I know how to feel what the Christians felt when they were fed to the lions in the Coliseum. For Florida, they not only had lost to Missouri on the last second field goal, they lost one of their prime key players due to a broken collarbone. So he's out for that game and for the rest of the season.
Well, that'll be an interesting game, Mike, because Florida State lost their starting quarterback as well to broken ankle.
Yeah.
So you've got your two starting quarterbacks for both teams are gone. Unfortunate for Florida is the backup quarterback for Florida State apparently is just as good as the starter.
Yeah.
So it could be very interesting to see that game play out.
Yeah, I remember that Chris Winkie, who was the starting quarterback for Florida State before he got hurt in 1998, injury, was replaced by Marcus Allen. And they speculated that Marcus Allen would he be a third-string quarterback who win the national championship, be the first quarterback to do that. Didn't happen. Tennessee won that game, won the national title. But, really look at this. Florida State's probably got more talent-wise than Florida has. And they're deep, especially. So, really, Florida's probably not going to go bold. Now, I would be surprised if they do pull off an upset. They may make it close, but it may still be. I believe they're playing that game at Gainesville.
I believe they are.
So, I think that's the only advantage they have. Well, Clemson is at South Carolina. Well, Clemson is, they're basically 7-4. They're a little down from their national championship years and that sort of thing. They're going to face off against a South Carolina team which won over Kentucky 17-14. They're 5-6. They got to beat Clemson to get to a bowl. And there's a rumor that the South Carolina head coach Beamer may be going somewhere else after this season. He may be taking a job elsewhere. We don't know that yet. So, but Shane Beamer. he's got a tough task, but Clemson is a little less powerful than Florida State.
Yeah, Clemson's down quite a bit. I mean, the Clemson faithful were at one time this season was even calling for Dabo Swinney's head, and that's odd. I mean, even Dabo went in an interview and said that if they don't want him there, he'll go somewhere else. I mean, you very rarely ever hear a coach say that, especially when you're just a few years out of winning the national championship. So I mean, it's crazy.
It's sort of a put up or shut up deal.
Yeah, it really is.
Like Johnny Monitor once said, is that he said just because you have fans who buy tickets think they own the team, which probably was unfortunate for Majors, because Majors really was the person who called it like I saw it, and he admitted, look, it probably hurt me in some ways, and in other ways it didn't. But I would say if you look at it this way, I think South Carolina has a chance, a 50-50 chance to beat Clemson. They did last year, but I don't think they'll be able to get the signals like they did last year.
No, it'll be a little different.
It's going to be at Columbia, so that's a home field advantage for them here as well. Kentucky versus Louisville, the Bluegrass, the Governor's Cup. That's an interesting thing because Louisville has already slotted in for the ACC championship game. I think they're going to go against Florida State, and Kentucky. Well, they're 6-5. But I said this before. Kentucky's hit a wall. Stoops. They're top. There's. Okay, everybody, we are back, and our next segment is the college football and basketball season, which is, by the way, sort of colliding with each other in a little bit in the way. For college football, of course. Some teams in the SEC know they're going to go to bowl games. They had the minimum of 6 wins to get to a bowl. Some have to win their finale to get into a bowl, while some will not be going to a bowl. They already know that. For example, let's look at Florida. Florida, well, they're not having a great season, and there's rumors that they'll be looking for a new coach at the end of the season. They're 5-6. They have to beat Florida State. Now, Florida State is undefeated at 10-0, and they are number 5 in the country right now. And let's just say it's sort of like Daniel being thrown into the den of lions, so to speak. And there's one person once said about when they had to face off against an SEC teams. I know how to feel what the Christians felt when they were fed to the lions in the Coliseum. For Florida, they not only had lost to Missouri on the last second field goal, they lost one of their prime key players due to a broken collarbone. So he's out for that game and for the rest of the season.
Well, that'll be an interesting game, Mike, because Florida State lost their starting quarterback as well to broken ankle.
Yeah.
So you've got your two starting quarterbacks for both teams are gone. Unfortunate for Florida is this backup quarterback for Florida State apparently is just as good as the starter.
Yeah.
So it could be very interesting to see that game play out.
Yeah, I remember that Chris Winkie, who was the starting quarterback for Florida State before he got hurt in 1998, injury, was replaced by Marcus Outzen. And they speculated that Marcus Outzen, would he be a third-string quarterback who went the national championship, be the first quarterback to do that? Didn't happen. Tennessee won that game, won the national title. But, really look at this. Florida State's probably got more talent-wise than Florida has. And they're deep in space. So, really, Florida's probably not going to go bowling. I would be surprised if they do pull off an upset. They may make it close, but it may still be. I believe they're playing that game at Gainesville.
I believe they are.
So, I believe that's the only advantage they have. Well, Clemson is at South Carolina. Well, Clemson is, they're basically 7-4. They're a little down from their national championship years and that sort of thing. They're going to face off against a South Carolina team which won over Kentucky 17-14. They're 5-6. They got to beat Clemson to get to a bowl. And there's a rumor that the South Carolina head coach Beamer may be going somewhere else after this season. He may be taking a job elsewhere. We don't know that yet. So, but Shane Beamer. he's got a tough task. But Clemson is a little less powerful than Florida State.
Yeah, Clemson's down quite a bit. I mean, the Clemson faithful were at one time this season was even calling for Dabo Swinney's head, and that's odd. I mean, even Dabo went in an interview and said that if they don't want him there, he'll go somewhere else. I mean, you very rarely ever hear a coach say that, especially when you're just a few years out of winning the national championship. So I mean, it's crazy.
It's sort of a put up or shut up deal.
Yeah, it really is.
Like Johnny Montrose once said, is that he said just because you have fans who buy tickets think they own the team, which probably was unfortunate for Majors, because Majors really was the person who called it like I saw it, and he admitted, yeah, look, it probably hurt me in some ways, and in other ways it didn't. But I would say if you look at it this way, I think South Carolina has a chance, a 50-50 chance to beat Clemson. They did last year, but I don't think they'll be able to get the signals like they did last year.
No, it'll be a little different.
It's going to be at Columbia, so that's a home field advantage for them here as well. Kentucky versus Louisville, the Bluegrass, the Governor's Cup. That's an interesting thing because Louisville has already slotted in for the ACC championship game. I think they're going to go against Florida State, and Kentucky. Well, they're 6-5. But I said this before. Kentucky's hit a wall. Stoops. They're there's people at Kentucky who are dissatisfied with what Stoops is doing. He's not getting them where they ought to be. They had a couple of 10-win seasons to be sure, but they just not been able to get over that hump.
Well, I mean, it's in reality. Now, and I know Tennessee's had their struggles, but in reality, how many times does the Kentucky faithful expect more than 8 wins? I mean, seriously. Yeah. Kentucky's a basketball school. They always have been.
Always will be.
Always will be. And the football team is just kind of there. I mean, yes, they've won had a couple 10-win seasons. They played very well, in the past few years. But, I mean, it would be really nice to go into a season and be satisfied with, 7, 8 wins.
Look at it this way right now, is that they say in Kentucky is that you expect your football team to win in September, but by October, when's basketball coming around? That's how it is. Bear Bryant, when he took the job at Kentucky, he had no pressure attached to him because they never won.
Right.
And then what he does, he goes from 2-8 to 7-3 his first year there, and then a bowl in his second year and that sort of thing. And then when Bear Bryant, he had won 60 games and won a conference title, and then Stoops comes along. And he's had a fairly decent run. Why hasn't anybody taken him? I don't know. I'm sure that he's had offers, but I don't know. But we'll see how that goes. I don't think Kentucky's going to beat Louisville. It'll be a close game, but I don't think it's going to happen.
I don't either.
Okay, the 10-year war, and we're going outside the SEC. That'll be Ohio State and Michigan. Now, the 10-year war refers to when Schembechler and Hayes were head coaches at their respective schools for 10 years. It was considered a 10-year war because Woody Hayes was hated Michigan so much that he would not stop for gas in the state of Ohio, and his car actually ran out in Michigan from 2 miles from the state line. He pushed the car over to the Ohio state line. That tells you how much he hated it. And you look at these two teams. They're undefeated. They're in the top 3 in the CFP. Winner's going to go to the Big Ten championship game, and the loser's going to have to hope somehow they get picked as a sort of at-large.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an interesting game. Then with the thing going on at Michigan, Jim Harbaugh has to sit out the 3 games of the season, 4 if it's a bowl season, and how will Michigan react? Michigan talked about leaving the Big Ten. Of course, that ended up being a puff of smoke.
Michigan's not leaving the Big Ten.
Because they were mad because what they did. Then Harbaugh was going to take it to court, but decided not to because because somebody pointed evidence. You're nailed.
Yeah.
There's no way you can get around it.
Yeah.
So accept the situation. I think, to be honest with you right now, I think Michigan will carry a grudge going into that game, and I think they will win over Ohio State.
Tough call, Mike, on those two teams because really, that's a very heated rivalry, and it really going to depends on which team shows up and which team. I think turnovers might be an issue. Whoever has the least amount of turnovers, I think, will win the ball game. I'm going to have to go with the presidential elections on this and say this one's too close to call for me. I'm going to refrain because I'm not a Big Ten fan at all.
No, I'm not a Big Ten fan
I'm
either.
not an Ohio State fan by any means, and I'm definitely not a Michigan fan by any means, but I just hope that it's I hope it's a good game. I hope it gives college football faithful a good, something good to watch. But it's going to be interesting to see how it turns out too.
I think there was a teacher at the high school who was a Michigan fan, had a Michigan national championship ring or something like that in '97. I don't remember the teacher's name, and I don't know whether she's still there or not or whatever. Okay, let's look at Tennessee and Vanderbilt. Tennessee, well, they're a little bit of a sort of a flux. They lost 2 games to Georgia and Missouri back to back. Now Missouri, I find that was surprising to me, 36-7, because Missouri, I know Missouri is a good team. There's no doubt about it. But Missouri, I kind of really think that Tennessee should have been in more better than that. And then they lose to Georgia, and that was not unexpected. And Tennessee's still ranked, it's like 7-4. Vanderbilt comes in there, and they started out 2-0, and ever since then they've dropped 9 straight.
Mm-hmm.
And you made people might think, well, this ain't much of a rivalry. Jerry Donato said, well, this ain't much of a rivalry. Well, maybe so, but remember, Vandy once had Tennessee's number a few years back.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was a couple years there, and 2 out of 4 years or something like that.
3 straight.
3 straight. Yeah.
2016, 2018,
Oof.
they had Tennessee's number. I remember in 2012, okay, when Tennessee took on Vanderbilt, I said Vandy's going to beat Tennessee like a drum, and unfortunately I was right. And I heard somebody say on a radio show the next morning, he said Vandy played like Tennessee and Tennessee played like Vandy.
Mm-hmm.
And of course Derek Dooley was fired the next day for that. Vandy, this is their bowl game.
Really
they
is.
beat Tennessee, that's going to be their big thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think Tennessee's going to lose to Vandy, because I'm going to tell you the reason why. First off, Tennessee's got too much in the tank. Second of all, they're playing it at Knoxville. That's senior day. And I think is that if Tennessee can convert the third downs like they should have been done, they didn't do that against Georgia or Missouri, they're going to win that game. If they don't, it's going to be a close one.
And the fourth thing is, I'm going to be there, so they better win.
Oh, we're in trouble now.
They better win.
No, lose this one.
I finally got my wife to agree to go to the Tennessee game, and I'm hoping that this, when she sees the boys run out of the tee and sings, here's...
That runs through the tee, not out of the tee. Through the tee.
Well, same difference.
Yeah.
And here's 100,000+ fans singing Rocky Top. I'm hoping that it reaches out and grabs her.
Well, I'm going to tell you this right now. If Tennessee loses, I'm going to let you know that you
can blame my wife.
You jinxed them.
You can blame
I'm not
my
going to
wife.
blame your wife. I'm going to jinx you that you jinxed them. Rich people doing that.
I'm telling you, and what I don't understand is if you got these programs that are paying their coaches that much money, and I'm not saying they don't. I mean, some of them earn it. Some of them are great coaches. I'm not taking away from that. But, if you have enough money to spend, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 million and then buy out a coach for $146 million, my goodness, tuition ought to be $20. I mean, if you've got that much money flowing in, if you've got that much money flowing into the college, there is no reason why these young people should be coming out of high school with, going to college and for 4 years and coming out with $200,000 of debt for tuition. I mean, that's if you're making that much money in a program, something needs to be done. Something's wrong somewhere. I mean, I'm just saying. And I'm a sports fan all the way, through and through. Mm-hmm. But it's just crazy that these colleges have so much money flowing into their programs of sports, but the tuition is going up.
The thing is, I once went to a UT football game. This is way back, about 20 odd years ago, and I kept getting stopped by people who thought I was a member of the Stokely family, and of course they were big contributors to the UT program, Stokely Arena, which is where we used to play basketball at, and you'd be amazed how many times I was stopped and said, "Are you a Stokely?" And I said, no, I'm not. I said, well, you look like a Stokely. And I know who the Stokely we're talking about. I said, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I wish it was. I would have got up one of those skyboxes.
Well,
and do that. That would have been great.
You should have just started telling everybody you was.
Yeah, well, like that's gonna work. That's gonna work. But anyway, that sort of thing. Let's talk about the bowls. Now we know that some SEC teams are going to bowl. We know Alabama, Auburn, Kentucky, Georgia, Tennessee are among the teams that got bowl lock tie-ins. They're locked in. They got 6 or more wins. Who will be going where? Now, obviously, Alabama and Georgia will be going to the college football playoffs. That means basically they will be playing one of the semifinal games, one of them at least, semifinal games, and then we'll play in the national championship in mid-January. As for the other SEC teams, well, there's a lot of things. Tennessee, supposedly some rumors has it that they are locked in for the Gator Bowl. The Gator Bowl wants them. They will play, like say, either North Carolina State, was one. Another was supposedly Notre Dame, but I don't think Notre Dame's going to do it because Notre Dame played in the Gator Bowl last year and they will likely not get invited back. Another one has them linked up with a Big Ten team for the Outback or Relia Quest Bowl, and that's what they call it, the Relia Quest Bowl, which is probably about Tampa's a good place to be on January 1st.
Yeah.
And another is the Citrus Bowl. That's another one. The Music City Bowl is supposedly another possibility, but Tennessee doesn't really want to go back to Nashville. It's going to say start the season out at Nashville.
Yeah.
And another one I think of was the Liberty Bowl and the Duke's Mayo Bowl. That was the two.
I think you're probably going to see Tennessee, barring anything that happens with Vanderbilt Saturday. I think you're going to see them probably at the Gator Bowl.
I would say,
and I would really like to see. They're really trying to pitch the North Carolina Tar Heels and Tennessee rematch. Several years ago.
Yeah.
They were wanting to get them back down. Now that was kind of the pitch that I was hearing. Now I think they're kind of more leaning toward NC State. But either way, I think Tennessee is pretty much destined for the Gator Bowl. In my opinion, I honestly believe they will.
I think what it is that basically is that the Gator Bowl likes Tennessee bringing in. Now, 1994, they had a choice between Mississippi State and Tennessee. They took Tennessee, even though Mississippi State beat Tennessee, and the reason was simply is that Tennessee brought in more fans.
The following, yeah.
They said simply in 1986, Mississippi State beat Tennessee, but they both ended up with 6-5 records. But Tennessee got the Liberty Bowl bid because they bring in more fans, and it was they were celebrating Tennessee's heritage or whatever that year, and they were playing Minnesota, which was a good matchup. I think the Gator Bowl would like to have Tennessee because Tennessee comes down and brings the fans. I remember in '94 they moved that game to Gainesville because they were doing construction on the stadium at Jacksonville, and they painted one end of that end zone checkerboard orange and white. Which irked the Florida fans to no end. In fact, Steve Spurrier said, "Get that off my field. Get off my field." And they said, "Nope. We rented it. We're going to put it on there." And Tennessee won that game easily over Virginia Tech. That was an interesting game. It was. Peyton Manning was sensational in that game.
Well, Jacksonville will be a little closer than Tampa.
Mm-hmm.
So.
I mean, you're down by the Atlantic Ocean, which is a big selling point, and that sort of thing. But look at this right now. You're looking at you got about 10 SEC teams qualifying for bowls. You're going to have to find 10 slots for them, and you'll find those 10 slots.
Definitely,
There's no doubt about it. So, it really that's the way. It used to be where I remember it used to be where a college football team can make its own deal with a bowl and then sign in for it. For example, Tennessee. They talked in '94 about Holly Bowl having Tennessee matching up against BYU, which won the national championship, David. But I think the Holly Bowl didn't like that idea because they knew Tennessee would beat BYU. So they invited a 6-5 Michigan team.
Yeah.
Which BYU easily got rid of, and Tennessee ended up in the Sun Bowl in a rematch against Maryland. When we come back, we're going to talk about some other things, some odds and ends, that sort of thing. The pro football season, baseball news, that sort of thing, and just anything that comes to mind as you're watching the Mike and Bradley sports scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18.
At Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter, we're committed to be better. Better prices, better vehicles, a better experience. Your Jason Lewis Dunlap Supercenter understands that you rely on us to provide you with the highest quality of used vehicles. With over 350 pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs. So what are you waiting for? Let us show you a better experience with the Jason Lewis Automotive family. Come visit us at Rankin Avenue here in Dunlap or on the web at dunlapsupercenter.com.
Come and see the beautiful Sequatchie Valley. While you're here, visit the Dunlap Mercantile. We have a full line of hats from Resistol, Stetson, Charlie One Horse, American Hat Makers, GG Pip, Greeley hats from the TV show Yellowstone, and a full line of vintage hats. Make sure to check out our hat bar where we can clean, shape, and customize a hat just for you, right here at the Dunlap Mercantile.
You need a bank that you can depend on. Here at Citizens Tri-County Bank, we have the most dependable staff that you will ever meet. Call in, you will not get an automated attendant, you'll get a person. But on the other side, we have all the technology that anyone would need, from apps to online banking to bill pay. So please come and grow with us as we're about to celebrate our 50th year. We are the only community bank you will ever need.
Okay, we're back for our final segment because we were talking in the off turn about how Bradley hates cats.
I don't hate cats. I said I don't hate my cat. I just don't like my cat. And in Feelings Mutual, the cat doesn't like me either. So
yeah,
I'm an animal. I love animals, but I don't like my cat.
I think he'd be a great mascot for the football team next year.
I would gladly let them use him if they would accidentally step on him and fall on him.
But anywho, but down to the lighter side of things, let's talk about pro football a little bit. And of course, season's starting to go on as usual, and of course we're right in the middle of it. How do you see it rack up so far, Bradley?
Well, Eagles. Everybody's screaming Eagles, and I have to say, I mean, their play is backing it up. I mean, other teams are, they were hollering for other teams, and the 49ers are supposed to be really good. They're kind of, sputtering. The Cowboys are supposed to be good. They're sputtering.
They're playing Washington tomorrow. They're playing Washington tomorrow.
The Lions are a big surprise.
Yeah,
they're playing fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
The Bengals are going to be struggling now. Joe Burrow's out with that hurt wrist, so he's going to be out for a while. So it's going to be shaking up. I think it's going to probably come down to sadly, I think it's going to come down again to the Kansas City Chiefs and the Eagles. Honestly, as the best two teams,
well, that should be a very interesting thing to go on. Of course, Josh Dobbs apparently got blindsided during the game, and the NFL has ruled that was dirty pool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think they suspended the player involved in that little deal.
He's playing well for the Vikings.
Yeah.
I mean, he really, 2-3 games in a row he won with them?
Yeah, in fact, he came in he hadn't had time to take any snaps or any regular snaps. He goes in there just before the game, takes some snaps so he can get familiar himself with the cadence, and he wins. And that's Josh Dobbs for you. That tells you.
Right.
That tells you he's got some smarts up there in his head, and that's a great thing, But I think is that Josh Dobbs will, if he can turn things around at Minnesota, I think he'll be there for quite a few years. I guess so.
I think so. Everybody's still saying that Dobbs is a backup quarterback, but he's. I mean, in a place like Minnesota, you can shine.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Kirk Cousins was there, and he was mediocre at best, and they loved him until he got hurt. So, and I'm not saying Dobbs is mediocre. Dobbs is probably one of the smartest quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I mean, he's an astrophysicist or something. I mean,
he's an aerospace
engineer. Yeah, I mean,
he's worked for NASA. He
has,
actually turned down an opportunity to become an astronaut. NASA asked him, "Would you like to be an astronaut?" He said no. He said no. He's no real desire to go into space. So basically, he's so he's got the smarts and he's worked for NASA. So he's doing pretty good. Speaking of mediocre, Tom Brady has said the NFL is full of mediocre players and people are paying money to go see mediocre performances. I don't know about Tom Brady, but let me tell you something. Tom Brady has taken too many shots to the head.
I think so. Yeah. Of course, yes, he is older, slowing down.
Mm-hmm.
When he retired at a good time, I believe, because I think it would have really been kind of almost embarrassing for him to
sort
come
of
back.
a Y.A. Tittle type thing.
And do it again. Yeah. But he just, the game is so fast paced now.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be very difficult. I mean, you got the Mahomes and the Jalen Hurts and Dobbs and Tua. All those guys are young and they're fast and they can adapt very well. I mean, the old days when the field general was the one that determined everything is gone.
Yeah, you don't. You look at it this way. Like the Peyton Mannings. I don't think Peyton Manning would thrive in today's NFL because basically when he's beat up, second of all is that he can't run much.
Well, the game's changed so much just in the last few years. From the time that Peyton was in his prime with Indianapolis, and then when he went to to Denver, and then played a few years.
Mm-hmm.
The game from then to now has changed drastically. It's fast paced. I mean, they're moving away from kind of the smash mouth football type stuff. It's more like a flamboyant, high scoring affair is what they want you to get the ball downfield. They want the receivers to perform. Tight end is becoming a premier, more of a premier position than what a running back would be. And I kind of agree with the running backs that are upset that they're not getting the reps and the pay that the quarterbacks and receivers are. But again, they're not utilized as much.
No, they're not.
I mean, and I agree for those teams. For players like Derrick Henry, who is an outstanding running back.
Yeah. And
powerful and can be utilized in a game plan. Those guys deserve to get paid like everybody else.
Yeah.
So. But the game is so much different now, especially on that level, than what it was. Just the last 5 years ago. I mean, it's changed so much.
Condrich Holloway, when he finished his career at Tennessee, was drafted to be a defensive back, not a quarterback. And you know what it was? Is that they weren't ready for a black quarterback. Okay. Second of all, is that they weren't ready for somebody who could scramble and run. Their quarterbacks in those days would just stay in the pocket and pass. That's it. That's all they did, or hand off. They didn't run, and the NFL just wasn't ready for that to a point until the last few years that was particularly true. But you look at George Blanda. George Blanda. I know you don't remember George Blanda, but he played into his 50s, and he was one tough hombre. He played under Bear Bryant at Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
And Blanda said Bear Bryant made me a tougher NFL player because he was not easy for me. In fact, he said simply is that Bryant, when he tore up his knee under the previous coach, Bear told him get his knees fixed and stay out the spring season. And then Blanda said, "Look, I better start running because he doesn't run an easy practice," and he didn't. So Blanda knew how to play the game and did one of the great things there. But you look at the NFL. It's changed so much. It's changed so much. It's used to be glitz and it used to be straight ahead. You watch the game. That's it. Now it's all glitz and glamour.
Mm-hmm.
You have about 6 hours of programming. I don't care what the guy ate for breakfast. Could care less. But but in a way, you look at Monday Night Football. used to be on ABC. What do they go to ESPN? I don't watch Monday Night Football anymore.
Well, if you watch the Kansas City Chiefs game, it's a Taylor Swift game, isn't it? Because she and Travis Kelce are the big talk of everything right now.
You know how that is.
I could care less what's going on with them.
I mean, if Taylor Swift if I was watching a Kansas City Chiefs game, Taylor Swift came down to me and said hello, I'd engage her in conversation because she's a beautiful lady.
I would talk to her, but I'm like, she don't. I'm like that Shania Twain song. You don't impress me much. Sorry.
Well, that's how it is. It's like the SEC. They would get like Garth Brooks to sing an intro. I don't want to listen to Garth Brooks sing an intro. I want to see the game.
Yeah, and just play football.
Just play football, please. That's the way it ought to be. I think they make too much of it, to be honest with you right now. You look at the SEC, Marty McGee. I don't want to see Bubba 1 and Bubba 2 talk about football because these guys look like him came out of Deliverance. That's about what I see. Let's talk about baseball a little bit. The MLB owners have unanimously agreed to allow the Oakland A's to move to Las Vegas. So they're going to be in the Las Vegas A's.
I was really hoping they're probably supposed to be called the Vegas Athletics, but I was really hoping that there was 3 cities that were lobbying for that. 2 of which were Las Vegas, obviously, and Nashville. And I would have kind of liked to have seen a pro baseball team come to Nashville. The Nashville Athletics. I would have still been a Braves fan, but my number 2 team would definitely have changed. But I like the Kelly green. I like the green and white. And I think that'd be nice.
It's crazy. When the Houston Oilers moved to Tennessee. They were known as the Tennessee Oilers. Well, that's about as much sense as an elevator in an outhouse, because there's no oil wells in Tennessee, I don't think. And like this, I said, this is what I said. Why do they got to have another pro football team here? They got the Tennessee Volunteers. They said they'll never outsell UT. They still don't. But they tried to become the Titans, which used to be the New York Jets' name, the Titans, and actually did very, very good. I thought they're all right. I mean, they're all right. I mean, it's just more or less is that okay? Well, because I was at the Atlanta Falcons because I always liked the Atlanta Falcons red uniforms. I didn't care much for the black uniforms they were today. I like what's with the red ones because they were so unique. And they used to play in that old Turner Field.
They didn't play in Turner Field. They played in the Roundhouse, Fulton County Stadium.
Well, in the 70s they played in Fulton County, the baseball, which is Turner Field, and that sort of thing. And I used to remember
Turner Field was built for the Olympics, and it was turned over to the Braves in 1996.
But this was in the 1980s.
Right.
1970s
so Fulton County Stadium would be where the Falcons played. The Falcons never played at Turner Field, and now they're at SunTrust or Truist Park. The Falcons never played at Turner.
The Peach Bowl they had one year. Tennessee there played one year, and they come out, and most teams used to come out through the locker room down to the side. Not Tennessee, not that stadium. The players had to climb steps to get out onto the stadium. It's really funny is that Tennessee was playing Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl one year, and they had a Tennessee player was getting a little tired of these Arkansas fans. They wear these funny hats. The Suey, the Razorback hats. He gets off. I think it was Art Reynolds or somebody. I'm not sure. This is a story Bill Battle told. He said the guy gets off the bus. He's already in uniform. He's already in full uniform. They're already dressed out for full uniform. He comes out there. He just goes to the guy and said, "That's a nice hat." He said, "Yes, it is." Takes it off his head, puts it on his head. Said, "Mind if I wear it?" Goes back in there, back on the bus, and the guy says, "Aren't you going to go get your hat back?" No. He wasn't going to do it. He said, "Not on that bus, I'm not." he was stupid. Anyway, he comes out there, and he's a senior, and they let the players give a speech what it meant to Tennessee. He says, I will tell you one thing. Ain't no team gonna beat us wearing this ugly hat. And he stomps down on it, and he just stomps it in the dust, and everybody's like, yeah, that sort of thing. And of course, Tennessee beats Arkansas in the Liberty Bowl that year. Mm-hmm. But it was one of the real funny things, you know how it is. Because, you know, he said Hacksaw Reynolds. I had a story about Hacksaw Reynolds. That was crazy. He said they got the name Hacksaw, nickname Hacksaw, because he sawed his Jeep in half with a hacksaw. After a loss at Tennessee, he said it had to be an Ole Miss. What do you do with a Jeep that's sawed in half? You junk it. You can't do anything with a Jeep sawed in half. That tells you how things go there with sports. You know, people are passionate. They're very passionate.
It's a way of life for some people.
It is a way of life. I mean, you know, with me is that, okay, well, you know, fine. I've been doing announcing for 24 years, you know, and I sort of don't get all that emotionally involved in it as much as I used to. I mean, I used to throw things at TVs when there's something.
You're losing your edge, Mike. You're losing your edge. If you don't get emotionally involved with it, it might be time to retire.
It might be, but let's listen. What John Ward said simply is that after he retired from broadcasting, he said he found it nearly impossible to be a fan again. Said because he was always looking at it as an announcer, not as a fan. That's the way I felt. I look at it as an announcer, not as a fan.
That's why we sit with the fans in the ball games, so we can get the fan experience.
So we can freeze to death.
So we don't lose that edge.
Yeah, and I get to freeze to death. It wasn't up cold and happy as we thought it was, by the way.
No, because you had a heater on you.
I had a heater, it just wasn't as cold.
Let me just tell you what, y'all that may not have heard the broadcast, this man complains so much about being cold.
I do not.
I went to Walmart before we went to Hampton, and I bought a little pop-up tent, walls to go around it to block the wind off. I bought him a chair to sit in. I bought me a chair, and I bought him a little heater with a little propane thing on it to turn against him so he wouldn't freeze to death. I sat there the whole time. Not one time through that game did he turn around and say, I'm cold. Not one time did he turn around that game and say, Bradley, thank you so much for bringing these things for me, and I appreciate you very much. And I would be freezing to death if it weren't for you. Not one time.
Look at him.
Not one time did he say that. And
he's going to hold that over my head the rest of my life.
I am absolutely appalled at the fact that you would still complain about previous days when we sat out in the cold, given that you were sitting in luxury at Hampton in a nice comfortable chair with the heater turned on.
With the football team in front of us 90% of the time.
Yeah, the view wasn't bad, but you weren't cold. And it was the best $500 I ever spent because I didn't have to hear him complain on.
You're going to hold this over my head the rest of my life. Yes, you are. I know how you are. I offered to buy you a meal one time, and you said, no, you're going to hold that over my head the rest of my life.
Yeah, you would. You sure would.
Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you something. When I die when you eulogize my funeral, you will bring that story up. I will guarantee
yeah. I don't know if you want me to do that, Mike. There'll be a lot of things that I say that might not be appropriate.
I haven't mentioned the Arkansas bet, remember that one?
Yeah, I do. And we're not going to mention that.
Oh, why not?
Because that's not going to happen.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. But anyway, well, Bradley, you got some final words to say, something that doesn't try to embarrass me or whatever?
Well, I don't really know if there's anything that I could say that can embarrass you any more than you already do yourself, so I'm not going to try. But I will say that I'm proud of the football team, how they played this year. I'm proud to be a small part of such a big machine and such a big group of people and support. I'm excited to see basketball get started here in the next few weeks. See them hit the ground running and see what they can do. I'm excited about that. And I'm also excited to see what the Braves are going to be doing and making some moves as far as the pitchers are concerned.
I told you the Braves
they've traded away Mike Soroka. They've traded away Kyle Wright, but they're getting, hopefully, there's several good pitchers on the market. So I'm thinking that the Braves are going to make a move for them. And Tennessee Vols, just keep doing what you're doing. They keep growing, keep getting better. I'm excited to see not only what we can do against Vanderbilt Saturday and even in a bowl game, but I'm really excited to see what Nico Amalieva is going to do when he gets the green flag at the helm of the quarterback.
Just remember, if Tennessee loses to Vanderbilt there Saturday and you're there, I'm gonna hold that over your head.
Yeah, I'm sure you will. I'm sure you will. I won't blame my wife if we lose. But
you want to sleep on the couch.
As always, I'll close it out by saying the same thing I always say: go blue, go Braves, and go Big Orange.
Okay, like I said, of course, WAT, of course, will hopefully broadcast some basketball this season. We'll have the time and dates for you when we get the things sorted out here. As of course, again, we of course, happy Thanksgiving to all those if you are traveling to your loved one's home for Thanksgiving. We want you to be safe and just drive carefully. And remember is that there are other people on the road as well, or in the air, or however you choose to get to your destination. And again, be safe, be secure, be sure to get there and be thankful for everything that you have, because it's very important, because Thanksgiving is such a holiday. And I'm sure that those who arrived on the Pilgrims probably watched the first football game on TV.
Yeah, I'm sure the Indians are playing football. The Indians are playing a football game.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. But anyway, again, we see you in 2 weeks. Of course, we're going to have, by then, we're going to know which destination the Vols will be going to in the CFP playoffs, who's going to be in those games here. Of course, a lot of games to be happening here this weekend, and we hope that you all, of course, will enjoy the turkey or ham or whatever you're having for Thanksgiving, and then sit back and watch some football and enjoy yourself a little bit. So we bid you farewell. We'll see you in 2 weeks, as we will back with more of the Mike and Bradley sports scene here on Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative Channel 18 and WAT AM 1110. Good day, everybody. We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Brought to you by Bledsoe Telephone Cooperative in the Sequatchie Valley.